Welcome back to Jess Saying. Sometimes life doesn't just knock you down, it runs you over, backs you up, and hits you again. But what if those lowest moments aren't the end? What if they're the beginning of something powerful? Today's guest, Julie Barth, knows the pain intimately. She's a writer, mother of 6, and founder of Colin James Barth Outreach, a nonprofit dedicated to helping women-led households escape crisis and reclaim their independence. Julie's story is a masterclass in resilience. After losing her husband to cancer, enduring years of emotional and financial abuse, she turned her pain into purpose. Through her book, Notes from a Blackberry, and her advocacy, she's showing women that you can survive and thrive after devastation. This episode is raw, real, and deeply human. So if you're listening while folding laundry, driving carpool, or hiding in the pantry with your coffee, this one's for you. Let's get to it. Hey friends, I'm here today with Julie Barth. She's an author, mother of 6, oh my gosh, and founder of Colin James Barth Outreach. Welcome to the show, Julie.
Hey, Jessica. Thanks for having me.
Mommy of 6, oh my Lord.
I know, I heard you choke on that.
I mean, I don't know. I love mommies. I love that you're a mom of 6. How do you handle that? I mean, I had 2 and I had 1 stepdaughter. That's 3. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But they were all 8 years apart.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to say mine are from 29 to 12. So, yeah, I mean, it was like, I got them out of diapers and then went back again like a crazy person. So
I always say that I had them 8 years apart so that I had a babysitter. But it's not
yeah.
true.
I know. Yeah. I don't know that I would let any of mine babysit any others. I might come home to a catastrophe.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I'd rather pay someone.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
that's so true. That's so true. But I mean, man, you've been a busy bee. Mine are 32, 24, and 15. So
you don't look like you have a 32-year-old at all.
They're all They're like, I have a millennial, a Gen Z, and then what is the 15? And what are they now? The
Alpha.
Gen Y or Alpha? I don't know what they're called.
I think they're generation.
I got one of every
Alpha.
generation.
I do too. I won't tell you which one I like the best. Because they might. No, they're never going to watch it. So I guess I could probably spill the beans there. I doubt they're watching any of these. So
I don't know which I don't know which generation I like the best either. You know what? I don't know. Gen Zers get a bad rap, but then, or millennials get a bad rap.
They all get
I don't know how to put it. They're all not the same as us.
They are not.
And
they're not the same as one another either. That's the strangest part. Yeah.
This is so true. Yeah. I feel like each one of my kid was a single child. Like each one are totally different. And they all feel like they're single children too. They all kind of feel that way. It's kind of weird. I had to spoil each one of them. Oh my God.
Yeah. They all think they're only children. Yeah.
I was a helicopter parent, so I messed them up. So it's all my fault.
Well, I don't know about that. I was not a helicopter person, and I feel like I think whatever you are, you think you should have been something else. That's a mother.
I mean, I always, you always feel, I don't know how to put it, but you always just feel like you could have done better. Like, man, like how did my parents end up like we were outside, they forgot about us. Like, how did we end up?
Because we had to. We're just lucky we're still alive.
I know, this is so true.
But we did learn our way.
Drinking from the hose.
That was the whole drop them in the pool, see if they can swim.
Yes, my dad did that to me. He threw me in the pool. And he's like, just touch the side, Jessica. It's right there. Just touch the side. I'm drowning.
I think my mom would still throw me in a pool. I'm not going to lie.
I think my dad would push me in. Yep. But we had a doughboy. So it was like 4.5 feet on the sides and 5 in the middle. And I wasn't yet
just
4.5 feet. Yeah. He threw me in and I'm like, I'm drowning here. And he's like, you're not, just touch the side.
Swing your arms, roll your arms around.
I would.
That's why we're so strong.
They'd call Child Protective Services if we did that now. My mom tried to drown me,
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, the neighbors would be calling, not your children.
Yes, that's so true. one time, okay, before we get to your story, I'm going to tell a story because it's so funny. One time, my sister and I were skating in the garage, and she was swinging me around, and then I fell, and I got a big black eye, or big bump. And then we decided to do it again. My mom said, "Don't do it again." And so we did it again. She was swinging me around and around like we were doing the whole cross the hands, and we were in a circle. I think she let go on purpose, but I'll never say that out loud to her. And she let go again. And I got another bump on the other side. And then my mom brought me across the street to the nurse because there's a nurse that lived across the street. And she's like, "Should I take her in? What do you think?" And the nurse is like, "No, she should be fine. Just, make sure if she gets groggy or something, then take her in." And so the nurse called the school to turn on my mother to say that she thinks that she was beating me. like, so like that was a neighbor that really did call like CPS. Well, I don't think they had CPS back then, but she called the school. That's what you did. And the school called me in the office and they said, "Jessica, how did you hurt yourself?" Oh, and I told them exactly what I did. And Mr. Miller, who was my teacher at the time, had my brother a couple years earlier. And he's like, "Yeah, sounds like their
That
family."
sounds about right.
And he goes, "And I know her mother, and I know." He's like, "No, this is fine." And so then they sent me back to class. But it was like back then they didn't have child protective. They just called your teacher and told on you. But we had a nosy neighbor. But whatever. What are
Yes.
you gonna do? So back to your story and stop talking about myself. Let's start with
Okay.
your
I
story.
enjoyed this story.
Can you share what inspired you to finally to finally tell your story? What are notes from a Blackberry mean to you personally?
Well, Notes from a Blackberry is the first of like 3 in a series. So, to to start the story, Notes from a Blackberry is about my first husband, who's Colin, and my daughter Tatum. And Tatum has something called primordial dwarfism, but we didn't know it. She was born in 2001, like if you can imagine, pre-Google. So, and they said it was so rare. And don't get me wrong, it is rare. But the way they defined it was so rare that I think there are a lot of people that have since been, under the umbrella. But we traveled all around the United States, and no one could tell us what was wrong with her. But she just wouldn't grow. She also had a very rough start because they delivered her not knowing that she was only 3 pounds. And instead of using like a pediatric or a neonatal innovation tube, they used a regular one and damaged her throat. So, yeah, it was like 4 years of trying to figure, and everyone kept trying to blame it on her genetics. And, no one fessed up that that's, what happened. But so, we were dealing with all of that. And I'm happy to say now that she's 24. She's
Oh,
24 pounds, but she's 24 and she's a little spitfire. But it's also about my husband, Colin, who, right as we had our older son, then we had Tatum. We met in grammar school. He was, my first kiss. And we eventually moved back to the same suburbs together. And we had 2 more children after Tatum because I had always wanted a really big family. And we had this huge Halloween party every year. And he was back and forth to the doctors because he was a trader down at the Board of Trade, and he kept complaining about stomach problems. And of course, men, they go to the doctors and the doctors are like, "You're fine." So after about, probably 6 months back and forth, and he was really like detached, where he was like always very fun loving. And he was just like always reserved for those couple months. And I finally said to him, like, "Go to the doctor, like, go to the hospital, figure out what's going on. Like, we need you back. I don't know what's going on, but this is not normal." And then within like a couple hours, we found out that he had an inoperable pancreatic tumor. So yeah, he had stage 4. And they said, "Take him home. He has 2 weeks to live." And of course, I have a 6-month-old to a 10-year-old, and Tatum in smashed in between. So the lucky good news, bad news is that he ended up living 16 months. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. But Notes from a Blackberry is I would take him down to chemo on Tuesdays. And because he was so sick, he wanted me to be quiet. And I had a Blackberry. That's how old I am. And I was writing Tatum's story. I wasn't even a writer, but I was writing Tatum's story because it was just so unbelievable. And if anyone reads the book, they'll understand why. It was just one thing. I would take her in for like a cold, and the next thing I knew, she was flatlining. Um,
man.
Yeah, it was like anything that could go wrong to this day still goes wrong with Tatum. Like, I'll go to McDonald's and I'll get everyone's meal and I'll come home and Tatum's is missing. It's like unbelievable. Um, she was just born under that star. But actually, funny story since we're saying them, we were in the car one day and I was just having a moment of feeling sorry for myself. And I looked over at her and I was like, you know, Tatum, I'm like, I think I was like Hitler in my past life. And she looked at me and I said, I think you must have been Stalin. And she laughed and like she had no idea who I was talking about. But I was like, you know, we're butting back up again because we both have the worst luck ever if karma's real. But to get back, so I would write her story on my Blackberry and I emailed it back to myself. And I suppose, you know, it told the story of us, and then it tells the story of Tatum, and then it literally flows right into real time as I'm caregiving Colin and what he went through and the emotions. And so I pieced it all together and it sat on my laptop and he passed away in 2009. And you know, I never meant to release it to anybody, but I subsequently got into a very emotionally abusive marriage for 10 years. It was hell. And coming out of that, I had promised Colin in his final days that something good was going to come from all of his suffering. And after reading the book, I don't know, I was just inspired to, you know, release the book. I wrote a second book. Third one is on its way. And I opened up a charity to try and help the many versions of me that's needed help over the years.
Aw,
Yes,
man,
that
your
was a really long
story.
explanation.
Damn, you've experienced like some unimaginable like loss and abuse. It seems like, right? Like 10
Yeah.
years of
Yeah, it
abusive.
was. I would say, you know, after I read the first book, which ends with Colin passing, I got to the end of it and I was like, you know, as crazy as all that was, like the crazy stuff didn't even start yet. And in that moment, I think is when I was like, you know, I have to do something with this. Really, my passion lies in trying to, you know, help people that were stuck in the same position as me kind of see the light and to kind of get unstuck and to know they're not alone. So,
So like, okay, so you were standing in an abusive relationship. What was the turning point when you're like, enough is enough? Like, this is it.
um, you know, so basically, I think what happened, he worked in my home. And after I lost Colin, I was just like so done grieving, and everyone else was just starting to grieve. And as a caregiver, I think only you know that. Like, not only do you have to, you know, deal with losing a piece of them every day, but they pass away and everybody else starts grieving. And you're kind of like, been doing this for so long. And so I lived in a town where everybody knew me. And, there was a young gentleman in my house, he was 10 years younger, and where I almost felt as if I had been robbed of a decade of my life taking care of Tatum and, you know, caregiving Colin. Like, I wanted the family, I wanted the life that I felt was taken from me. So, I was almost, like, bound and determined to just, like, "Okay, I don't wanna be Julie Barth anymore, I'm just gonna move away. I'm just gonna put it all in my past and pretend it didn't happen and have the life I wanted." So, he was he was the exact opposite of me. He was, very nasty. He would say whatever he wanted. He didn't care what people thought of him, and, you know, n e at the time, it seemed so alluring because I felt like I had been living in this fishbowl for so long that I was like, "You mean you can say whatever you want and not care?" And he was like, "Yep." And I was like, "Awesome, let's do that." And although I knew it was wrong at the time. You know, all of my alarms are going off, but it was something that like I felt I had to do. Um, and I was coming off of a lot of survivor guilt, which I don't think many people know about. You know, when you're in that situation, it's like you say things in your inner voice, like wishing Colin was gone when he was suffering. And then you know, when he passes, you're just like, I can't believe I wished him gone. You know, lying to him about chemo, being resentful that he's sick and I'm saddled with it. And so when he was really nasty to me, I felt as if I deserved it. You know, I almost felt like
Your
it was
penance.
my redemption, my penance, my redemption, you know, and he was saying all the things that I was already thinking about myself. So it made sense to me that like, yeah, he's right. I am
You get
A,
that
B,
when
and
when
C.
they find your vulnerability and then they try to tear you down and they attach themselves to you in a way where you feel like if you detach that things will all fall apart. like, because he's holding it all together, like, or whatever the case may be. I never really had been in it. I was in a brief relationship that wasn't good for me, but I was strong. At the time, I was younger, and I was strong enough to just say "f you,"
Yeah.
and before it got serious. And so I'm lucky that my marriage is 28 years strong and never had that in element. But I mean, I'm hearing stories, and I see how they make you dependent upon them in a lot of ways, emotionally and financially, and a lot of
And
ways.
they just bottom you out where like you don't even know what reality is anymore. And, you know, I would like to believe that I wouldn't have gotten into that position if I wasn't going through, the vulnerability that I was, but I don't know. I've never seen I say all the time, like, it is so masterful the way that they operate. And he was such a smart guy, like truly could like take cars apart and put it back together. And, if he had used all of that energy to do something good in the world,
Right.
like it would have been amazing. And it's, you it you cannot see what's going on when you're in it because nothing makes any sense. They're telling you one thing, what you know to be true is different, but if somebody keeps saying it to you, then you start believing it, and then they tell you who you are, and you start becoming it because they push you to
Right.
be the worst version of yourself, and then they sit back and they're like, "You're the worst version of yourself," and you start blaming yourself. The many years I was like, am I broken? Like, did everything that I went through with Colin and Tatum, did that break me? There was really, I had to search, after the divorce, when he came for me through the divorce, he, called me an alcoholic and a drug addict and said everything that I was the opposite of and said I wasn't taking care of my kids when I raised them all on my own.
Right.
Um, I did. I had to like go seek therapists, like leading specialists and say, am I crazy? Like, I don't understand what's going on. And I
Even
didn't
Mark.
even know it. Yeah.
Yeah. Many people see red flags but don't really act on them. I mean, I like I said, I saw some red flags in the beginning, or I don't know, well, it ended up being the end of the relationship, but I saw them, and I just said no thank you. But what would you say to women who are still like making excuses for their partner, like their behavior, and they're still living in it? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you decided to get out and obviously you had to divorce him, but I mean.
Well, I was kind of pushed out too. So, and that's a frustrating part about this scenario is that it has to get so bad for you to really take a hard look around because they convince you that you're literally going to lose everything. You're going to die. Like if you do not keep this all together. And, that song by Halsey called Graveyard. I don't know if you know that song. The whole song is about following someone to the graveyard. And had my son not, he stopped talking to me because if anyone was abused by my ex husband, it was my son. And he stopped talking to me and he came to me and he was like, I don't understand why keep letting him back in. Like he's threatened to kill you. He's threatened to kill me, and yet you keep letting him. And it was in that moment that I recognized that if I couldn't do it because I deserved it or thought I did, then, I had to do it to get out of it for my kids. But there is this illusion until your kids come to you that somehow you're like protecting them and you're taking the brunt of it so they don't know. They do know. And,
Yeah.
I think a big
They
reason why
blame you
people
like your son was doing. If you don't take action because you're the adult, you have to be the one that does it. Then they blame you for, well, this is your fault because you can move or you could leave or you can whatever. It's not that easy, kids. It's not
yeah,
that easy because you were
it's
binded by
not.
a lot of things. And also the thought of being alone, the thought of rebuilding, reinventing yourself, moving, getting school districts changed, all the things that go with all of that.
Yeah.
If you had to be the one
Well,
that
and
left the home.
if you're like I was a stay-at-home mom necessarily. And I went to get a job and they were like, well, where's your work experience? And I'm like, you're
I
right.
can
I
do
haven't been doing
laundry.
anything in 10
I can do
years.
laundry. I can cook. I'm a photographer. I take all my kids' pictures.
I'm a counselor, I'm a chef, I'm a
I'm an accountant.
fundraiser, I'm
I
a
pay all my
marketing
bills.
expert,
I'm an accountant. I'm an accountant.
right?
So true.
Project manager?
The project
Yeah, but
management.
the problem is, like, and it's getting even worse out there because now AI is taking over. So, like, you're not even gonna get your foot in the door because you don't have any work. Like, it's taking you off the pile.
Yeah,
So
it's so
that's really
true.
what our charity is focused on, is giving people options so that they can make those decisions. Because otherwise you will make excuses necessarily because you don't know what else to do. And I think that too, there is an element that if you're stuck in that position, you really need to kind of examine what you grew up in. I will say that my parents were not the pillar of fantastic relationships. And, I didn't, chaos was something I grew up with. So it was normal. And the more I normalized it for my kids, because what was chaotic for me growing up was my normal. And I didn't see that I was making it, I was setting them up basically. And, I'm hoping to unwind those things. And I'm not saying that it is not your fault. If you're out there listening to this, this is not on you. This is not your fault. I 100% know why you're doing what you're doing. And, it's very easy for me now that I'm on the other side to see it so clearly. But the problem is that you have to get on the other side of it. And that's why I do what I do, because when you get beyond it and you look back at the whole picture of it, you're like, what was I thinking? Why did I stay?
Well, because
But everyone has their reasons. Yeah.
there's grief and guilt and abuse, and it's all compounding, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, how do you unpack those layers?
Yeah. Very, very slowly. And that's what I try and tell people, because if you look at the enormity, I used to lie awake at night, like, I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to have to find a job that's going to pay for everything. I've got all these kids, and it kept me so afraid that I was like, nope, nope, I'm sticking it out because I can make this work. And what I didn't recognize is I was doing it all on my own. The only difference was he was sabotaging me while I was trying to get it done. And that's what they do, is they sabotage. They set it up so that you are not successful, so you feel like you can't do it. But I would dare say that 90% of the women stuck in my position are doing it all on their own as it is.
I mean, and I was just doing an episode where, we're talking about the changes that we all go through. And I'm 52, so I'm getting different. I'm way different than I was when I was younger. I don't know. It's hard to have change. So those women that are of older years trying to, leave your spouse, leave an abusive relationship or a relationship that's just not healthy is so difficult. And I totally understand, like, because reinventing yourself and moving on and doing something different, change in itself can be so difficult.
It's
And we
scary.
get it,
It's
but
very scary. Yeah.
if you have young kids and you still have kids in the house, the example that you're providing, being a doormat or being abused, is just almost as harmful as watching the abuse itself. So, you know what I mean? So you have to try and make the change and be a better role model. I don't know how to say it without sounding so terribly condemning. I'm like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's just terrible,
Well,
but
and I also find that the women that are in these positions, like, they're the best moms in the world. They would do and
yeah.
I convinced myself that I was doing it for my children because I would have done anything for my kids. But that's when you have to take a step back and say, like, am I doing it for the right reasons? And, just to take that breath sometimes, because it's like you're in such a high anxiety reactive state that, like, I don't even remember making a conscious decision in my life for, like, decades. I would spend my days, Googling, can you love a narcissist? Googling, how do I save my relationship? Googling, how do I, instead of, like, recognizing that I'd done everything possible to try and repair it. And there was a reason why it was unrepairable. And that reason was because it was by design. So, you can go around in circles forever because
Because you're
I
not
know
going
that I
to change a
could have.
narcissist. That is you. They cannot change because it's all about themselves.
Well, they don't
And
even want to. That argument can they or can they? I don't know. All I know is
yeah,
I've never met one
yeah,
that wants to.
that wants to.
The
So
change has
true.
to be a want first because they don't think anything's wrong with them, like.
Can you maybe define some of the hardest patterns or beliefs that that you had to break, like the patterns that you were constantly doing to before you can find peace again? I mean, did you unpack it? I know you had counseling. I know they're really good at like helping you figure out like the patterns to break
I
so
no,
that
I
you
was
can.
I was a terrible counseling patient. Like, terrible. I would go in and I'd sit in front of the counselor and she'd blah, 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 blah. And I was like, mm-hmm. And then I'd walk out the door. I didn't hear a single word
That
she
is so
said.
funny.
I mean, I would literally, I should have just thrown her money and be like, well, let's just forget this. I'm going home anyway and I'm not listening. Um,
Yeah, I'm not a good
I'm
counselor
not.
either, counsel patient either.
I'm not good at taking advice in general. And,
I'm like, "Why
you
aren't
know,
you on my side? Why aren't you on my side?" That's how I
I'm
am.
right. I am right. What do you mean? I came here
Maybe
for you
I
to
had to
tell me I
change.
was right. Yeah. I'm not here for any other reason.
Right.
Um, again, I think that I don't know when the change occurred, and maybe it was. I do. It's because when he came for me and painted me to be somebody that I was not, it forced me to defend myself, and in doing so, I was able to take a look at myself and be like, I am a good person. I am not crazy. I did these things for the right reasons, even though it ended up, being the wrong choice. And in defending myself is when I really recognized that, it was okay to admit that I made the wrong decision, and that doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make me stupid. Like that's the other thing is like, if you expose somebody and you leave, you necessarily have to expose yourself. Like, he came to the table with like text messages, like crazy text messages I sent and videos of me because the whole time he was setting me up. And so, like, when I called him out, I also had to defend myself because relationships don't happen in a bubble and they get you to do some pretty reactive, crazy
Right.
things. So that also keeps you stuck because you're like, I don't want people to know A, what went on in my house, B, that I let him treat my children that way, and C, that I kept on chugging along like nothing was going on.
And then
But
when it's litigated in front of other people, it's embarrassing.
it is
Or
so embarrassing.
they're calling you out on your worst moments and they're highlighting them. And I mean, you just want to say, "Can you just divorce me and move on? Let's get past all this."
Well, they do. I mean, that's what they do is they threaten and they leave. And then the minute you start gaining your stride, they come back and they're like, okay, well, if you really want me back, and there's something in you that you're like, okay, I don't know why I would want you back, but sure. Because it does. It takes the average woman 7 times to leave before it sticks. And that's why, because
Wow.
they'll come back, they'll say they're sorry, they'll promise to change, and you'll think, oh, they really do. I liken it to, I used to say that it felt as if he was on top of me, like strangling me, literally, and I couldn't breathe. And just as I was about to like pass out, metaphorically, he would like let go. And I would be like, he would turn from like the person that was choking me to the person that saves me. And it's such a strange mind mess. Like I almost can't remember how I felt back then. It's like childbirth, only there's no good result that comes from it
I know
besides
childbirth,
freedom at the
you can't
end.
remember any of it. I mean, I remember some of the main things, but the pain part, I don't know. I don't
Yeah, and I
remember it.
think that that is pretty much how you come out of this fog. Like I wrote my second book and I was forced. I wrote it my first book is very, very authentic and raw. Like, you are sitting right next to me. I get you to feel sight, sounds. I mean, no holds bar, everything I'm thinking. And in my second book, I had the same editor and I got to the end and I finally like sat with it for a bit, like, that's really good. And then I had to call him and be like, it's not, is it? And he was like, well, and I said, yeah, like, I hid the parts that, if I'm really going to be true to this and try and pick people out of these situations, and I have to be honest about the, where I was at. So, yeah, you don't want to go back there. You don't want to think about it, but you kind of have to because, and I know I keep talking, but I have this girl that I've been working with, and she sent me a video. She's 24 years old, and she sent me a video that she recorded to herself. And it was basically like, look at where I'm at, crying, don't take him back. Look at the way I feel right now. And I was like, that is genius. Like,
Right.
absolutely genius. It broke my heart. And I would like wanted to give her a hug at the same time. But I was like, that is the best advice I could like then tell to other people. Like, record yourself at your lowest moment and your highest so that you have something to, snap you out of whatever your altered reality is at that point.
So true. That's really smart advice. But you created purpose through like all the pain you've been. First of all, let me back up real quick. So you are a mom of a special needs child, and so am I. So my daughter too, she has not. I mean, never probably. Well, they're just both different situations. My daughter has heart issues. She needs open heart surgery when she was 5 months, and will continue to have open heart surgeries as she gets older. As she grows into each of her body, like right now, she needs another one coming up. She'll need another one when she hits her 30-year-old body, another one when she hits her 60-year-old body, and hopefully that. And anywho, there's that, and then she is she's intellectually disabled and she's got cerebral palsy. So there's a different set of complexities, but it's very difficult to navigate through the waters of a child with special needs, and then you have so many other kids too, and try to balance their needs and also your complex child's needs. And then on the top of it, you've got this wackadoodle dude that is like he's like a I don't know, something attached attached to your back and like weighing you
Parasite?
down. Yeah, parasite.
Parasite? Yes.
That's what I meant. Like a freaking parasite
He was a
weighing you down.
parasite.
How freeing did that feel to like flick that little effer off?
It took a bit, but yes. I mean, I wonder why, how I did it. Like I wake up in peace and, like I would used to wake up wondering what he was doing. Was he gambling today? Was he cheating on me today? Was he going to drain our accounts? Was he going to lie about me? I mean, it just never ended.
All of those offenses too are like breakup offenses, not just I mean,
Yeah.
one offense and out of there, you know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
tell my husband when we were first dating, like, I can live without you. Just so you
Yeah,
know.
and you
Just
can,
saying.
and you can, and I love that
Yeah,
attitude, and that's the attitude everyone should have, man
yeah.
and woman. Like, you
I can
shouldn't
live on
ever
my
need
own.
somebody. Yeah, you should never
I
need
don't have to cook
somebody.
extra. I can cook just for myself, thank you very much. I could cook a
And
meal.
easier
Yeah. I don't have to buy as many
for less
groceries.
money. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just saying. It can be something quick. Like I can live on tuna fish sandwiches. Like I'm
Yeah.
okay with like deli sandwiches. I don't
I'm
have
a
to make
pretzel
pork.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need. I mean, I can have hot dogs. I'm cool with it. Like I'm a Gen Xer. I can eat burritos. Okay, whatever. I don't have to
Well,
like
you can
tonight.
eat yourself a casserole now. But
So true. It just means more pie for me. Thank you. No, I'm just teasing.
are you the
So let's talk about your nonprofit, Colin James Barth Outreach.
Yes.
Okay, so we know what kind of inspired you kind of mentioned it, but how does it help women in crisis today? Just if you could mind go into that a little bit more.
Yeah. So, when I first came out of my divorce, I wanted to help the many versions of myself, whether that's a special needs mom who couldn't get vaccines or her out of the hospital, or you hit crisis and like you don't have time to figure things out. Like the last thing you have is like time to research. So, the statistics are pretty grim. Like the average woman takes a decade to recover after divorce. Their standard of living goes down 44%. The guys goes down 10%. Everybody's like, she got the house. She got that. Well, of course she got the house, but she also got the mortgage. She got the kids. She's got the kids, but she's also got to raise those kids and pay
And
for them.
daycare
So,
costs.
and yeah. And so, I mean, that's great. I'm so thankful, that I was able to get the children, still custody. But, you know, um, uh, the place that everyone turns to really is to government, like, oh, I'll just ask the government what they have for me. And unfortunately, they'll do one of those like, oh, you have savings. Oh, sorry, you're not, oh, oh, you're not poverty level. Okay, well, come back when
Right.
you are. So you do. Like you have to lose everything to get
Hmm.
help. And then like, oh, fantastic. Look, I'm eligible. And then you're like, holy crap, I'm eligible. Like I have nothing left.
Here's my rock
So our
bottom.
yeah, thanks. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
So we approach it kind of like a concierge service where you come to us. We're building databases right now, so we're in our infancy, but the thought process really came from my daughter. She's a sophomore in college, and everyone around her was trying to go for the full ride, like the government would be a full ride if they gave you assistance. But what she did was she got all these little, 2,000 here, 2,000. So she applied for different things. And what she was able to do is she did get a full ride plus, and she got money back, but it was a lot of work. And when you hit crisis, you don't have time to be like, oh, I wonder if that organization will help me with my dog. Or I wonder, you don't even know what you need. You just know that you're putting money on credit cards and you will deal with it later. So what we do is you come to us, you tell us your situation. We're building these databases so we can say, fill this out for you're eligible for your gas and electricity. You fill this out, you're eligible for daycare. Call this company, they're looking for A, B, and C. So we would like to give them a roadmap for being able to find the services they need. And our hope is that for whatever else is not out there, which is almost always legal, we're hoping to provide the services that aren't found anywhere else. But it's a learning curve for us to figure out where all these little charities are and how they can contribute, networking with them and trying to find companies to work with that will give you gainful employment instead of minimum wage where you're working 80 hours a week at a time when your kids need you most. So
Right.
it's kind of like the thought process behind it. Again, we're in our infancy. Anyone who wants to volunteer, get involved. My special needs daughter she does art, and all of her artwork goes to fund our charity too. So we're selling. Well, by the time this comes out, we won't need it, but we sell holiday cards and other things.
So that's one way they can support your mission. Whether is there, I mean, spreading awareness too. I mean, we're doing that right now, which is important. Volunteering. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and if a charity is out there, a smaller charity, because there are so many
Donating.
like
Wait,
great
and donating is the main
and
one, right?
donate. Yeah, I mean that would be nice.
That's the
I mean,
point.
I'm not here with a handout or anything. But if
B.
I
I mean,
were to have a handout,
you're doing something
yes.
amazing. Can I ask you a question? Is this like a local to where you're living, or would this be open to just anybody?
Well, right now, so the majority of what I do right now is open to anybody because what I do is when people come to me, I help them take it apart and find the services they need. But that's just me personally. It's more like one-on-one coaching, which is available. We're trying to test case it in South Carolina, and the reason why we're focusing statewide for now. Our hope is to go elsewhere is because the laws in for divorce differ so much from state to state that like in South Carolina, you have to be separated for an entire year. Year. Did you hear that? A year before you can go for divorce, which is a whole nother. Yeah. When that during that entire year, your income is still based jointly, but you're not joint. So you can't get service. It's a hot mess. So that's why if we can do it here, then we can do it anywhere. But that's kind of
California is
what
a half and half kind of thing. You have to split everything unless
yeah.
you've got like prenups, or unless that if you did have the house before you got married, you get the house that you
Yeah,
had
not in
before you got
South
married.
Carolina. And
Yeah.
they say like, "Oh, South Carolina's for the women." And I'm like, "Okay, well, that's a really backward way of thinking because you gave him half my house because I actually own the house, not him." So, it
Right.
doesn't always work the way you want it to. So all of these, I don't know what it's based on. I don't know why they would think that you need an entire year. But if you decide that you want a divorce, I'm pretty sure you've done everything before you get there. And if you didn't, let them get divorced because they're really not committed
Do
and
they
they don't want to be
require
there
you to
anyway.
do in that year? Do they require like counseling and some other things?
No, but you can't see anyone, you can't date anyone, you can't live together. So so you have to move out. You have to get two separate residences for an entire year while you're just sitting waiting to divvy things up. It's a nightmare, and all it does is keep people in really bad situations. It kept me because we separated for 6 months, and if I were in a different state, I would have been divorced. And then he came back, and I was like, okay, but waiting that entire year just gives more room for doubt, for the abuser to come back, for you to be stuck in an economic situation you can't get out of. And it just
Yeah.
makes no sense.
Yeah, because once he's on his own, he realizes like, crap, I had a great thing, and then they want to come back, but then they don't want to change their behavior. So
No,
then
I
you're
mean, they will promise to, and they'll come back and be good for like a week. maybe. I don't even think mine was good for a week, but whatever.
Um, okay, so here's a question on my list of canned questions. But so you went from a victim to survivor to an advocate. I mean, that's like three different roles. When you look back now, what do you see when you look at the past version of yourself compared to how strong you are now? Like you're supporting women now, or men and women, but women.
Well, I think that what happened was I was a very strong individual going into, I spent many, many hours, days, years saving Tatum's life. I fought for Colin. I fought to raise my kids. I was a strong person. And then I met my second husband and I was a shell. I wasn't the same person at all. I changed my name. I put Julie Barth into like a box and put her in the basement. So I would say, that I'm back to me again, and it feels like I put my suit back on, and it's nice to be back. And I'm so glad that other person is gone. I don't know who she was, but I
Well, I'm
didn't
glad
like
I
her
met
at
you
all.
now. I'm glad I met the real Julie. Please stand
Yeah,
up.
the
No,
other one was a nightmare. Trust me, you would not have liked her at all. But you
good
do.
question.
You
What?
become a completely different person. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
that's true. I mean, and I'm surprised. Did your family ever say like, "Man, why are you putting up with it?" Or did you have any outside your nuclear, do
That's
you have
why
any
I
extended
moved.
family? Yeah,
That's why I moved because when you first start a relationship, if you're committed to it and people start bad mouthing them, that protective layer, comes in. You're like, well, that's my husband. And then I moved because I got tired of all the, everyone else was like, slow down. This is a bad idea. And I was like, nope, no, it's not. So I just left. And then, once you leave, what are you going to do? I had to go back with my tail between my legs and say, you're right. And I was wrong. And for somebody like me, that's not easy. It's not an easy admit.
but you know
Like, I
what?
don't do that
Anybody
very
listening
easily.
out there, if you have a loved one that's going through it, you better embrace them when they come back, and don't make them feel ashamed for taking the side of their partner over
And
you.
don't just give up on them. I think that a lot of people, because it becomes uncomfortable, they just walk away and they're like, I don't need to deal with this, which I understand. I really, really do. But when people, one person, two people, three people, four people, everyone in your world does that because it's uncomfortable, then that is when the abuser is like, see, nobody likes you. You've got no family.
Right.
Cause that's what I was heard. You've got no family. You've got no friends. You've got no home. You have nowhere to go. And whether that was on me or not, that's what happens.
I had on my wedding day, my brother-in-law was trying to do whatever he could to like fight my sister. My husband said, "Sorry, you're not welcome. You have to go because you're causing a scene." And so my sister and they were fighting at my wedding. Volatile. In my book, I call it my Jerry Springer wedding because it was so much like that. And so my sister was so mortified that she went into the room and was crying. And so for 45 minutes of my wedding, I was in there consoling my sister.
Consoling her. Yeah.
Yes, but because I told her, I said, I'd much rather be here supporting you, lifting you up, and telling you that this is the chance that your whole family's behind you. This is your chance to leave him. And because it wasn't the best relationship, and they were married 8 years, and but she saw that I was wasting my wedding, um, that to support her, and nothing is more important than your family when it comes to like holding on to them and lifting them up. So if you have a chance to do it, no matter what it takes, do it for your family and do it for that person because it will mean the world to them and change the
Yeah.
trajectory of their life. Just saying.
And they might react angry, and I think that that's a lot of people's fear too, that you will cut them out. And they really might. But in the end, all those things that I didn't listen to or I pretended not to listen to, they were still there. And someone continuing to be in my face forced me to look at it. So,
Yeah.
you don't have to be confrontational about it. But just a little whisper once in a while really helps. Like, well, I don't know. What do you think? I love you. I don't know why he would say that everyone doesn't like you. Just that little bit to snap them back into reality is really a whole lot of that little bit
Okay,
will
I'll be
do
here
wonders.
whenever you need me. Just I'll be the one. I'll be here. Just call me anytime,
Okay.
day or night, no matter
Yeah.
the time.
If you choose to stay, I'm staying too. But when you're ready to go, I will pack your bags and we'll be in my car in 10 minutes. So
So true. Okay, so your first book is about your experience with your daughter and your husband, your first
it is.
love, and your
Mhm.
second book. Did that incorporate a lot of what happened with your ex?
Yeah. So the second book is called From Blackberries to Thorns. And after we left Chicago, we ended up in Charlotte, and my daughter with special needs, who was 13 by that point, ended up coming down with a really rare form of cancer. So that led to another 8 surgeries. And yeah. And that's when I really recognized that I was by myself because he was nowhere to be found. But so the second book
Or,
is
I
about
mean,
moving.
first of all, your poor baby. I have to pray
I
for her.
told you.
She's like schlep
Yes.
rock. Like that
I,
is
to-
so
I,
terrible.
I told you, like the McDonald's thing alone.
Yes.
That's all I need to say. But it is true.
It's funny though because
She's
I tell my husband that same thing about me when he orders something for me. Every time it's my order out of everybody that's always messed up for some reason.
yeah, and it's not like she orders like a custom. She wants a
Right.
cheeseburger. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's
Right.
not like yeah.
Yeah.
So well,
I
you
don't
guys
get a
must have
steak.
been
I don't get a this.
well.
I don't
Okay,
get a
then I'm
fry.
Hitler. She's Stalin. I don't know who you are, but you got to be somebody in the group. So welcome.
Right? I don't know. I don't know what I did wrong. So you're so
I
I
don't.
mean,
I'm yeah. I don't.
I don't
I don't even
know.
ask that question anymore.
I don't. You know what? It's these children that are built this way and have these complexities have a heart of gold, and they are amazing in
They really
human
are.
beings. They're just amazing, and it's like you're almost graced and blessed to have them in your life. But
You are.
anyways,
You are.
I'm going off on a tangent. So
No,
your
but you're
second
right.
book is a Thorn, Blackberry. Was it Blackberry to Thorn or
Blackberries to
what?
thorns. Uh-huh.
To Thorns. Okay, so now you
Yes.
have a third book coming out. What is that one about?
It's called From Thorns to Blossoms. So I pick
Aw.
apart a lot of the issues that we're talking about, like your inside voice. And, it's just kind of going over all the things that we're talking about now and hopefully giving people the encouragement to reconnect with people in their lives and to really examine what's true and what's not. Because, we can all make our own reality.
About resilience, right? And
Yeah, it
it's
is.
like
And you attract what you put out there. So.
yeah, so true. I mean, you have been through it all, girl.
No, well, don't say that. Now you're jinxing me because I'm
No,
sure
I'm
there's,
not. No, I'm not.
that's the
I'm
thing
not.
is there is
I'm blessing you with
always,
knowledge that there are so many women that are, well, hopefully so many. I mean, I'm just saying, I pray that there's so many women going to listen to this today
I hope
and
so
be
too.
like, man, my life isn't so terrible. Look what she has to or just definitely they need to go out and get your series because I mean, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but like, I swear you'll be almost inspired. It seems like, look at you. You're so positive. You're glowing. You have a smile. I mean, you've been through a
Thanks,
lot of
Riverside.
crap.
I'm just teasing the filters from Riverside. I'm like, I love it. Can I just like have this? Can I just walk around with like the screen?
Filters? Because I don't have any filters. I need a
Yes.
filter.
Oh,
Is there,
I think that they're built in.
are they?
I mean,
Okay,
I
then
can't
maybe
possibly
they
look
do
this
look
good.
really good. I don't even know it. I'm just playing with you because I'm seeing some
So
shine. Okay, I know that there's no filters because I'm shining on my cheeks. No, I'm just teasing.
it's because you have the light in front of you. Put it behind
Oh,
you.
yeah, that I have lighting. The lighting is like shining on my
See, I've
shimmering.
already given everyone a perfect tip to go and take home. Put the shine behind you. Not in front of
That's
you.
so true. In fact, I've got shine in front of me because you can see it on my glasses. I can't get the glimmer off in my thing. I don't know what I'm doing with my lighting. I don't know what I'm doing. I need somebody to come tell me, Jessica, you're doing it wrong. And also I have confined space because I have like 6 different monitors and all kinds of
Well,
stuff happening. Anyways, it's a thing.
yes.
So okay, so your third book will be coming out when, do you know?
No,
No.
no,
You're just it's
no.
still is it in
Soon,
draft or
soon. like my kid, I tell my kids soon, soon.
okay, well, this will come out
Yes,
like
it
in
is in
May.
draft. It is. It
Okay.
might even be out by now.
Oh my
Who
God.
knows? I might be on my fourth book. Thank you very much.
writing a romance novel, and I'm in my third draft, so I'm in the draft form of it. But
That's awesome, though. That's
yeah,
hard. I don't do fiction.
I did a memoir of myself, and I wrote it in the same way I'm talking to you. So if you read my book, it's like you're talking to me, because that's
What is
exactly
it
how I
again?
wrote it. Bucket list from a redneck girl.
Everyone hear that? Okay. Just want to make sure.
Bucket list from a redneck girl.
There you go. No, I just meant I'm going to get it, and everyone else should, because I want to read about the wedding now. So,
Oh yeah, it's well, there's so many things you can read about. I mean, my parents put me in a drug rehab when they thought I was
nice.
on drugs, but I wasn't. So there's that. Uh,
Yeah.
I didn't have the best. I mean, I had standard parents. I had standard. There was 3 girls and 1 boy in my family, and I was like the Jan Brady. I was like, and in fact,
Nice.
the back of my book says, Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. If you understand that quote, then you'll really like this book.
Mom always says, don't play ball in the house.
Oh, my nose. No, I'm just teasing.
I mean, we might have lost the entire, we've lost the millennials, we've lost Z's, great.
They're like,
great.
What's
Now we got
Brady? What's a Brady? I
Are
look
they
like
having a stroke?
now you're making me cough. I had the pigtails like Cindy Brady growing up, and in my book you'll see one of the pictures that I went to
Nice.
private school, and I'm in my private school gear and my pigtails.
Cute.
Um,
Well, I'm excited to read it.
Well, I'm excited because I think I'm going to get your books too, because I feel like we've had some similar type stories, minus the abuse part. But well, just like a big part of your story. But I feel like it's weird because we're from the same generation, and so we haven't. You'll see through my book, I have all these little Easter eggs of things that will remind you of growing up, and because that's just what I was dealing with at the time. My kitchen was yellow. I had a yellow.
Was there another color?
Everything. The counters.
Mint green. Yes, mint green was everywhere.
Avocado
And,
greens.
and when it comes back, because everything comes back, you're like,
Right.
you look at it and you think, it wasn't even good the first time. Why are we doing that again? Like the 80s, why are we doing that again? When did anyone think it was good back then?
Or when they try to recreate a house to look like the 80s, I'm like, no, 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 no. You're going the wrong way. No, 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 no. There's a lot of things.
Again, go forward.
I don't need spindles like we used to have in like the, in a bare window.
That's what your head got stuck in. After someone twirled you around and flew you, that's what happened.
Oh my God, you're making my cheeks hurt. Okay, so do you have a landing page where people can find you?
I do. It's juliebarthauthor.com. And there's a tab there for for the charity. My daughter's artwork is there, and my book is on audio, the Notes from a Blackberry, which if you're traveling, I'm not a good reader just because I'm always in transit. So you can download the book and
that's the way people are. If you do not put your book on audio, people, you are wasting money, because you get more money from the audio or the ebook. Anywho, and then also that's how people are watching or listening. They're not millennials and Gen Zers don't want to have the stuff, that book on the shelf. They don't want that.
I don't want it either.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest.
Too much crap. It's too much stuff to have. And so I don't know. I kind of like, if it's a pretty book, I like to have the book on my shelf. I don't know. Just saying. I'm just like that. Yeah. But actually they're like on a shelf that is closed in my house right now. So none of my books, you can see them. They're in a bookshelf that I close, and because I'm like, it's too much crap. I don't want to see all that anymore.
It's too much eye distraction. I feel you.
Yeah. But another way to find Julie is you go to my website atjesssaying.net. And then you scroll to podcast, or you click on podcast, scroll down, find this episode, or find Julie Barth's name. You click her name and it'll take you directly to her website. So if you can't remember, but you're listening right now, just go to the website. First of all, look at my website. Isn't it cute?
Spell that out for me, will you please?
It's Jess Saying, JESSSAYING.net. JessSaying.net. It's just the way I am. It's a retro-y, because that's just how I am. I live for the 80s, but not Not
And I
there.
just stuck my foot in my mouth, didn't I?
No, but the design. I am
Oh,
not
okay.
for orange like velvet chairs. No, I don't need shag green carpet. I don't need
Now you've
spindle.
offended me.
But I used to have a purple velvet couch when my husband and I first started dating, but that was because I was Picasso-y kind of thing going on. The whole 90s Picasso and then the velvet couches and like
That's all back too. So
the
yeah,
crazy unique chairs and all that. We were all into that. I mean, it was
yeah,
a thing.
the contemporary.
Now I'm like, I'm all for comfort. I'm like, if I can squish myself in that couch, then that's the couch I want. Excuse me. Well, Julie, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and I don't know, putting up with me because I do go all over the page
I love
sometimes.
it. I love it. So do I.
I
It's
I just
ADHD in me.
I feel like we're like two peas in a pod. Um, and so I do appreciate you for coming on, and I want everybody to go research. Go to my website. If you can't find Julie, well, say it one more time. What's your website?
Julie Barth, BARTH author.com.
Okay, juliebarthauthor.com. If you can't find that, find me,jesssaying.net. And I just want to say thank you again for coming on. And for those of you out there, remember to be kind to your community and your people out there. We live in one world, okay? Let's just be kind to one another. Let's put the BS behind us. Be positive. We only live in this life one time. Have a good night. Have a good day. Whatever it is you're having, have one of those. All right. Have a good night. I mean, have a good day. I keep saying, I can't do it. I cannot say goodbye.
Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Low, talking about the days we used to know. VCR tapes and dial-up tones, raising kids living with achy bones. Leather jackets and big hair days, now it's carpool lines and PTA. Neon dreams turn into schoolyard fights, but our hearts glow in retro nights. We are Gen X, living both worlds. From cassette tapes to a digital world. Parenting now with a nod to the past. The retro love we know will last. We are Gen X, living both worlds. From cassette tapes to a digital world. Parenting now with a nod to the past. The retro love we know will last. We dance to the beats of the boombox sound. Now bedtime stories echo all around. But deep inside we're the mixtape kings, still fighting life with arcade dreams. Feeding families with a pizza slice, telling tales with a side of advice, laughing at the way it used to be while